So I've been checking out Universal Audio's Luna now for the last few months, and I really like it. In fact, it's quickly becoming my #1 recording and mixing software. I've even made a couple of videos about it, and I'll leave links to those in the description down below. But a lot of you have been leaving comments letting me know that there are some key missing features in Luna that are actually keeping you from using it on a regular basis, and sometimes even at all. So today we're going to break down the 5 most requested features that are still missing inside of Luna, and we're going to find out if these missing features are deal breakers that might keep you from using Luna as well. Alright, so I went through all the comments on my videos about Luna, and I counted up how many times each of these features were requested, and I actually went to a couple of videos on Universal Audio's channel as well, and had ChatGPT go through all those comments and pull out the different feature requests and tell me how many times each one was requested. It made me a nice little chart and everything. So these are the results of my not so scientific survey, and we're going to do a bit of a countdown as well. Okay, so the 5th most requested feature is track folders. So if we're here in Luna and let's say we have all these drum tracks, we got 12 of them right here, and we've just finished tracking drums and everything's great, but we want to be able to hide those away and free up some screen real estate so we don't have to scroll up and down so much every time we want to get somewhere, right? Well, in Luna, about the only thing you can really do is select all these over here in your browser, right click, and you can choose hide selected tracks, and they go away, and that's great. But to get them back, now you got to kind of turn them all back on, and you know, not a great workflow. Now, if we swipe over here to Studio One, which we're going to be using for our other software, a lot of you use Logic as well, but there's a lot of similarities here. You can see we also have our 12 drum tracks here, and what we can do with this is we can select all those, right click and choose pack folder. And now they're all inside this folder, and we can name it drums like so. Again, I like orange for my drums. And now I can just click this little folder icon and expand all that back out and easily see those. If I need to tweak something or just check something, I can, and I can just kind of pack them all away again. Another great thing is with this, you can mute all of them, solo, record, enable, a lot like groups, right? But the best feature about this for me is be able to just kind of free up some screen real estate. So I would definitely like to see this feature in Luna. It's a great workflow, makes things a lot easier, and seems like it's something they could pretty easily add. Okay, so the 4th most requested feature is better comping functionality. So if we're here in Luna, here's our vocal track for this song, and you can see we did 3 different takes of it. So we have version 1, version 2, version 3. And what we're going to do is take the best of each of those individual takes and splice them together into one best take, right? And so what we need to do in Luna is we just create a new version and call it comp right here. Now, some people like to create a whole nother track for this and move their comp selections up to that new track. I like to do it this way personally. And let's say maybe we listen to this and we like from version 3, we like this section right here. And then we can move to comp and we do that right there. And then maybe in take 2, we like this section all the way to right about there. And we're going to select that. And then come up to our comp, and we're going to paste that right there. And then let's say maybe in version 1, this little part at the end, that was our best version of that. We're going to take that, and we're going to put up in comp right there. And there we go. Now we have our best take right there. And of course, we can turn off snap, and we can tweak these things a little bit if we need to, just to kind of dial us in. We can crossfade, all those kinds of things. So it definitely works. It's very doable. It's kind of the old school way of doing things, but there are definitely better workflows. So again, if we swipe over to Studio One as our example, this is going to work in a very similar way as in Logic. A lot of you mentioned you like how Logic does it. Studio One is very similar. So if we click this right here, we're going to expand our layers, and these are our 3 different takes. These version 1, version 2, and this one's our version 3. So if we right click here and we choose layers and add layer, we're going to add a new layer and call it comp right there. And then this is where things get really different from Luna. First of all, we can still see all 3 of our takes. We don't have to cycle through them, right? And let's say we listen through these and we like this selection right here. We just highlight it and let go, and it moves it to the top right there. And then we can come right here. And again, let's say we like this one. and except for the end right there, highlight that, let go, boom. And then this one here, we like the end, let go, boom. And the great thing about this, again, we can still see all of our different takes, but also they're color coded by the take. And so this is really handy when these are all closed up. As we're working through this, we can see that, yeah, these are pulled from different takes. This is a comp right here. And then we can also still adjust these as needed. We can always come back and tweak it very easily. So a much more efficient workflow for sure. Again, this is another feature I definitely like to see in Luna. You can comp just fine in Luna, but this is a lot nicer for sure. All right, so the third most requested feature is compensated hardware inserts. What this is really important for is a hybrid mixing situation. Maybe you're mixing with plugins on your computer, but you also have some outboard gear you like to send some tracks through, especially maybe like in a drum mixing situation. You want to send your snare through a particular EQ and compressor that you really like. And when it comes back, there's going to be a little bit of latency, and in a multi-mic'd instrument like drums, that little bit of delay is going to cause some phase issues. So people are wanting Luna to figure out that time difference automatically like some other DAWs do. Now, I could definitely see where this would be really important in a hybrid mixing situation. And for those who use that, some of them are saying that this is the only thing keeping them from using Luna. They like everything else about it, but they have to have this, and then they could start using Luna on a regular basis. Now, some others said that because other DAWs do this and Luna doesn't, that it kind of keeps Luna out of that professional category in their eyes. Now, for me personally, this doesn't really matter because I don't have any outboard gear, so it's not really a consideration. Also, if you're recording with outboard gear, this does not matter either. So if you have a vocal microphone going through a channel strip and then into your audio interface while you're recording, this does not come into play, only in a hybrid mixing situation. So if compensated hardware inserts are important to you, I could see where this might be a deal killer and keep you from using Luna. Hey there, just wanted to jump in real quick and say if you're finding this video helpful, please give it a like and a subscribe so you can get more helpful videos just like this one. And if the recordings of your songs aren't sounding as good as you would like them to, jump down to the description box down below and grab my free guide, 7 Recording Secrets to Pro Sounding Songs. These are things that the pros use all the time. You can start using them today in your home studio without buying any gear, and they're going to help improve the recording quality of your songs so they sound more professional. So if you kind of hit a roadblock and you just can't quite get your songs to sound the way you'd like them to, go grab that guide. Give those things a try. All right, back to the video. All right, so the second most requested feature was ARA2 integration. And what this does is essentially allows a plugin to talk to your DAW and back and forth at the audio track level, not as an actual plugin like a delay or reverb on your inserts. This is great for those tuning plugins like Melodyne, great for those auto align plugins where you're automatically aligning the phase of your drums or auto aligning your harmonies with your main vocal track, all those kinds of things. So if we jump into Luna right here, we have our vocal track here that we just comped earlier. And let's say it's all ready to go and we're ready to do some Melodyne tuning. Well, what we have to do is we have to add it as an insert. So here's our vocal track, add an insert. We're going to search for Melodyne. And now we have Melodyne added. And if we want to start doing our vocal tuning, what we have to do at this point is click the transfer button, and then we have to hit play, and we have to play that audio into Melodyne for it to figure out what to do next.
Been a while since I've seen the slow sunset mesas in New Mexico. I keep your picture taped to the dash, but it started to fade.
And when we stop, then Melodyne kind of does its thing, calculates everything, and tells us all the pitches right there. Now, the problem with this is if I change anything on my vocal track, maybe I adjust some timing, maybe I copy and paste something, maybe I decide, you know what, I don't like that selection I made for that comp. I want to pull a selection from another take and add that to the comp. It's not going to update here in Melodyne. I have to replay that back in and readjust and tweak things from there. Now, if we look at Studio One, it does have ARA built into it. And so if we select our vocal regions right here, we can hit Command M, which is the shortcut in Studio One, and that pulls up Melodyne. And you'll notice that all of our pitches are already there. We did not have to hit that transfer and play it in or anything like that. They're already there because Melodyne can see our audio track and they're talking back and forth. The other great thing is if we make any adjustments here to this audio track, so maybe we take this right here and we copy and paste it over here, it automatically follows and updates within Melodyne, again, because they're talking back and forth. Now, for me, ARA isn't super critical inside of Luna. It would definitely be a nice to have to kind of speed up the workflow and allow for some more flexibility. But for some people who use those auto drum aligning plugins or the vocal aligning plugins a lot as part of their regular workflow, I could see where ARA would definitely be one of those very critical features that they would need to have in Luna. So kind of like the compensated hardware inserts, this is one of those things that's really keeping some people from moving to Luna. Okay, so now it's time for the most requested feature, and that is just better MIDI editing capability. There are a lot of things that came under this, but at the end of the day, better MIDI capability. So if we jump into Luna here, I have this MIDI track pulled up. We have Easy Drummer on here, and I just dragged some MIDI in here for this, and it's pretty basic. You have your piano roll here. A couple nice features about the piano roll is you can easily adjust the size right there. You can hit fit and it'll automatically adjust to fit all of the notes in this performance into the view. You can choose fold right here and it'll only show you the ones that are being used. But you'll also notice that right here, we only have the MIDI note name. So C#2, D2, C#3. That doesn't mean anything to me, especially when I'm working with drums. If it's a piano, then yes, of course. But I'm working with drums. I don't know what's what. Now, if we choose fit, we can kind of guess. This is probably hi-hat stuff right there. That's probably the kick. That's probably the snare. We can kind of guess, but we don't really know right there. So I don't like that about this. Also, we have the velocity lane right here. We can switch this to other things as well. There's program change, after touch, pitch bend. You can open these up and you got all kinds of other stuff. But I do use velocity. So let's open our velocity back up. And the velocity lane right here is okay. I don't particularly like it, mainly because all of the velocities for my different drum hits, they're all on top of each other. And so sometimes it's hard to know what's what. So like right here, these are almost on top of each other. You might click on the wrong one, start dragging it down and go, oh shoot, I didn't want to change that. Now you got to Control Z and try to grab the other one. It's not an ideal workflow on that. However, in general, my needs are pretty basic for MIDI, so this works for me. Also with drums, I don't use MIDI in here at all. I like to use Easy Drummer, and this has a great grid editor in here. And you can see as I click through these, the velocity lane right here does show just individually for that instrument, and that makes it a lot easier to use. Also, one of the big requests for MIDI was to be able to pull it out into a separate window. For those who like to do a lot of MIDI editing, maybe you have two monitors and you want to dock your MIDI editing on one monitor and have your tracks on the other one or your mixer on the other one. You cannot do that in Luna. It's all just contained right here. Now, if we go over here to Studio One, it's a whole different story, like a lot of other DAWs. So Studio One has a very mature MIDI editing situation. So we can click on these right here, and you can see, first of all, our velocities are separate by individual instruments right here. Also, if you like the piano roll right here, you can switch this to piano roll or back to drums in this case. Also, our different tracks or different MIDI notes are named. Currently, this is using the general MIDI drums preset, which is the standard default within Studio One. But when I was using Easy Drummer 2, it didn't have that grid editor like Easy Drummer 3 does. So I use the MIDI editor in Studio One a lot, and I could change these, I could edit these and save them as a preset for each of my individual Easy Drummer drums. So I have the Americana drum kit versus like one of my big, metal kits that has a bunch more cymbals and toms. You can name them. That way, when you're working with your MIDI, you knew that that was the snare and that was the hi-hat. You didn't have to say D1 is the hi-hat and A#4 is the, snare bottom, right? Whatever, right? So this definitely makes it a lot easier. Plus, if you click on these, you can see there's a bunch more tools and things available to you right here. There's articulations and all those kinds of things available as well. And there's a ton more tools built in here that you could use with your MIDI. But also, one of the main things people were requesting is to be able to open up the MIDI editor in a separate window. So you can do that right here in Studio One. You could dock this on a separate monitor. If you're on a Mac, you can click this and now make it full screen so you can swipe back and forth just like that. So that makes it really easy for those who like to use a lot of MIDI and get really deep into those things. Again, me personally, my MIDI needs are pretty simple. I keep a lot of my drum stuff inside of Easy Drummer. Outside of that, I'm doing some basic piano, maybe a B3 kind of thing, and that's all that I'm doing. So for me, Luna works, but it certainly would be nice to see a better MIDI workflow. All right, so there's our top 5 most requested features for Luna. There definitely were others mentioned, so if you feel like there was something left out and should have been in this list, let me know in the comments down below. And if you're new to Luna and you're still kind of trying to figure some things out, make sure you check out this video right here. I show you how to record a song from start to finish. We set up a session, we record audio tracks, use a virtual instrument, we edit MIDI and audio, we do some basic mixing, and we export it out so we can share with our friends or upload to a streaming service. So again, if you're new to Luna, make sure you check this video out.